She had it all, the fame, the fairy tale marriage, the perfect smile. But behind the flashbulbs, something started to crack. And once it did, the industry never looked at Blake Lively the same way again. For years, Blake Lively was Hollywood's untouchable darling, the actress who could do no wrong. She wasn't just beautiful, she was aspirational. The designer dresses, the flawless interviews, the picture-perfect marriage to Ryan Reynolds. Every red carpet moment seemed choreographed to perfection. But somewhere between the photo ops and the premieres, that golden image began to fracture. What started as faint whispers on fan forums slowly grew into a chorus of frustration.
I think she was probably 8 months pregnant. She had it wasn't a small bump even, it was quite big.
Then disbelief. The internet had begun to ask the one question no one expected. What happened to Blake Lively? Her downfall didn't arrive all at once. It crept in quietly. A strange interview here, a snide remark there, until her reputation shifted from beloved to polarizing. And by the time people realized it, the damage was already done. The first spark came from a moment that seemed harmless, a small interaction during a movie press tour. A journalist had complimented Blake on her pregnancy glow. But instead of smiling, Blake fired back with an icy, uncomfortable reaction that left the room silent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, working in digital...
Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
That brief exchange, captured on video years ago, suddenly resurfaced online, reigniting conversations that had long been buried. It was supposed to be an innocent clip. Instead, it turned into Exhibit A in the public trial against her charm. At first, fans defended her. She's just sarcastic, they said. Maybe she was having a bad day. But then came more footage, more interviews, more examples where Blake's quick wit crossed the line. Each one chipped away at the illusion of perfection she had built so carefully. And as the videos piled up, so did the unease. The public wasn't just watching a celebrity being criticized. They were watching a mask slip. It begged a question that nobody seemed ready to answer. Was Blake Lively always misunderstood?
How's your little one? You just had
Good.
one.
I'm 2 now.
Whoa.
I had another one
That's a
January
lot.
1st.
I just met someone who had triplets.
Or had Hollywood finally decided to stop pretending? The moment everything shifted didn't come from a scandal or a tweet. It came from a conversation, one that was never supposed to resurface. In 2016, a Norwegian journalist named Kirsty Flaw uploaded a forgotten interview clip that would change how the world saw Blake Lively. It showed the actress sitting beside a co-star, glowing and heavily pregnant, while the reporter congratulated her on her baby bump. What followed was uncomfortable. Instead of a thank you, Blake gave her a cold stare and responded in a tone that felt dismissive, even mocking. Then she turned away entirely, choosing to speak only to her colleague for the rest of the interview.
We just lie.
You're good. You just.
It's the perfect way to get what you want all the time. If you want chocolate ice cream at midnight, you have a craving.
It wasn't the words that shocked people, it was the energy, the sudden chill that filled the room. When the clip resurfaced nearly a decade later, it exploded. People dissected every second. The pause before Blake spoke, the smirk at the end, the subtle power shift between interviewer and actress. Some called it arrogance. Others called it insecurity. But to the internet, it was confirmation that the America's Sweetheart label no longer fit. And then came the second blow. Kirsty revealed that, at the time of the interview, she had been struggling with infertility, a painful irony that made Blake's reaction sting even more. Fans who once adored the actress began to wonder if the charm had all been an act. Yet, as the criticism mounted, Blake stayed silent. No statement, no apology, no attempt to explain. For a woman once known for controlling her public image down to the color of her shoes, the silence was deafening. To many, it felt like the curtain had finally been pulled back, and what stood behind it wasn't the radiant star the world had fallen in love with, but someone colder, sharper, and far less forgiving. After the interview resurfaced, fans began to notice something they'd overlooked for years, a pattern. Every uncomfortable exchange, every cutting remark, every awkward red carpet moment suddenly looked connected, like puzzle pieces forming a darker picture of who Blake Lively might really be behind the glamour. Clips began circulating on TikTok and Reddit. Blake teasing journalists, correcting hosts mid-question, or laughing at moments that didn't seem funny to anyone else. Some viewers brushed it off as wit. Others called it condescension. But one thing was clear. This wasn't an isolated incident. She seemed visibly irritated whenever her motherhood was brought up, as if any mention of her family was an intrusion. When a reporter once congratulated her on being pregnant again, Blake shot back, "What makes you say that?" in a tone that sounded more like a challenge than a joke. Another time, when asked about parenting, she quipped, "I've got so many kids, I could give you some. Diapers, not the kids." It was meant to be funny. It wasn't. What people had once mistaken for confidence was now being read as control. Every conversation carefully redirected, every question flipped to put the spotlight back where she wanted it. When someone tried to ask about her private life, Blake would often switch the focus back on the interviewer, subtly reclaiming the upper hand. For years, that charisma had been her weapon. Now it was her weakness. And the more fans dug, the more they found old interviews, co-star comments, and half-forgotten behind-the-scenes moments that didn't age well. The illusion of warmth had been replaced by something colder. People weren't sure whether they were seeing the real Blake Lively for the first time, or just the side she never meant to show. Either way, the narrative was shifting fast. Hollywood's Golden Girl was starting to look more like its newest villain. When the backlash hit, it wasn't subtle. It was everywhere. Gossip columns, entertainment podcasts, even mainstream outlets that once praised her style were suddenly dissecting her attitude. But through it all, Blake Lively said nothing. No clarification, no apology, not even a carefully worded Instagram caption. That silence became the story. For a celebrity so skilled at curating her image, her refusal to engage left fans confused. Some called it professionalism. Others saw it as arrogance. But to Hollywood insiders, it looked strategic. By staying quiet, Blake wasn't just avoiding the conversation. She was controlling it. Behind closed doors, publicists reportedly debated how to contain the damage. Should she issue a statement, make a charity appearance, or simply wait it out and let the next scandal bury hers? The decision, as always, was to wait. And at first it worked. The storm began to fade. But then, she made a joke that reignited everything. It was springtime, and the internet was buzzing about the Princess of Wales photo controversy, an edited family picture that had everyone talking. Blake joined the frenzy with a photoshopped promo image for her own brand. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just days later, it was revealed that Kate Middleton was undergoing cancer treatment. Suddenly, that funny post didn't look so harmless. The public wanted contrition, but all they got was a few lines of regret. "That post has me mortified today. I'm sorry." It wasn't enough. The apology came off as mechanical, a PR necessity, not genuine remorse. For many, it confirmed what they already suspected. Blake Lively had become too polished to feel real. And in Hollywood, authenticity isn't just a virtue, it's survival. Her once flawless image was cracking, and no stylist, no publicist, no husband could patch it back together. If there was ever a moment that stripped away what remained of Blake Lively's spotless reputation, it was the release of It Ends With Us. The film was meant to be her grand comeback, a story of resilience and survival. Instead, it became a case study in how public perception can unravel in real time. On paper, it should have been a triumph. The film tackled domestic abuse, a topic both harrowing and necessary. But when Blake stepped onto the press circuit, her tone told a different story. In interviews and promo clips, she focused almost entirely on fashion, her boots, her hair, her clothes, as if the film's message was little more than a backdrop for her next aesthetic moment. "Grab your friends, wear your florals, and head to the theater," she said in one promotional video. It sounded cheerful, rehearsed, and completely out of sync with the movie's emotional core. Fans were stunned. How could an actress who prided herself on sensitivity and control be so tone-deaf about her own film? Behind the scenes, things were reportedly even more strained. Rumors began to swirl about tension between Blake and her co-star, Justin Baldoni, who also directed the movie. While Justin spoke openly about the film's themes of trauma and survival, Blake allegedly wanted to keep things light. The two avoided joint interviews, skipped photo ops together, and even arrived at events separately. Insiders whispered that Blake had rewritten scenes, overruled creative choices, and brought her husband Ryan Reynolds into the process. "He works on everything I do," she once said proudly, a line that sounded empowering until people began to wonder who was really calling the shots. The whispers grew louder when Blake insisted on using a Lana Del Rey track for the soundtrack, despite the director's objections. "Too heavy," he said. "Too perfect," she insisted. The tension became visible, not just on set, but on screen. By the time It Ends With Us hit theaters, audiences weren't watching the film. They were watching her. Every press moment, every awkward soundbite, every smile that didn't quite reach her eyes became another data point in the public's growing case against her. What should have been a defining moment of empathy became a turning point of alienation. Blake Lively had once played characters whose lives unraveled behind a perfect smile. Now, she was living that role herself. And this time, the cameras weren't going to cut. Long before It Ends With Us ever went into production, whispers about Blake Lively's on-set behavior had been circulating quietly through Hollywood. For years, they were dismissed as jealous gossip, until the pattern became impossible to ignore. It started back on the set of Gossip Girl, the series that made her famous. Behind the glitter and drama, insiders claimed the tension between Blake and co-star Leighton Meester was real. Their chemistry on screen was undeniable, but off-camera, things reportedly grew competitive. Interviews from that era now feel like subtle battlegrounds. Playful jabs disguised as banter. "Everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway," Blake once quipped during a press junket, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The room laughed, but the pause that followed said everything. From there, the reputation began to snowball. Former co-stars recalled that working with her could be intense. Directors described her as hands-on, though the word often carried a double meaning. Someone who wanted to control every angle, every cut, every word that left her mouth. During the promotion of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants 2, fans noticed a moment that resurfaced years later. Blake speaking animatedly about Gossip Girl while her co-star America Ferrera sat beside her, visibly uncomfortable. To some, it looked like overconfidence. To others, it was dominance, the unspoken power move of an actress who always had to command the room. Then came a simple favor, the stylish thriller that paired her with Anna Kendrick. The film was a success, but insiders claimed the set was icy. Two ambitious women, two magnetic personalities, and one spotlight, it was a recipe for quiet rivalry. Even Anna later joked that she'd had to give Blake pep talks, an offhand comment that fans interpreted as confirmation of tension. Individually, these incidents might have been forgettable. Together, they formed a portrait that Hollywood couldn't look away from. Talented, yes, but difficult. Demanding, maybe even intimidating. And in an industry that thrives on charm and likability, that label can be lethal. By the late 2010s, casting directors began choosing safer options, quieter stars, actresses who came without a storm attached. Blake still had power, but it was shifting from adored to respected, from respected to tolerated. The woman who once embodied Hollywood grace was now being talked about in hushed tones, as if even mentioning her name too loudly might invite trouble. For years, Blake Lively represented the American dream wrapped in designer fabric, the girl who could do it all and still smile for the cameras. But somewhere along the line, the dream began to look more like a performance. And now, with every resurfaced clip, awkward exchange, and quiet feud, that performance is being reinterpreted, not as confidence, but as control. The truth is, Blake never truly vanished from Hollywood's spotlight. Her films still earn millions, her brands still sell out, and her red carpet appearances still trend for days. But there's a different tone now, a cautious distance, an undercurrent of tension that wasn't there before. She's not being celebrated, she's being studied. When It Ends With Us crossed the $285 million mark worldwide, fans couldn't decide whether to be impressed or uneasy. Was it proof of her star power or evidence that controversy sells better than sincerity? The movie's success should have been a victory lap, but instead it left her in a strange limbo. Too successful to be cancelled, too criticized to be beloved. In interviews, she still flashes that camera-ready charm, but the warmth feels rehearsed. Every word sounds measured, every smile calculated. And maybe that's what makes her story so haunting. The idea that a woman once praised for authenticity could end up drowning in her own perfection. Hollywood has always loved a redemption arc. It's the city's favorite genre. But Blake's silence makes one wonder if she even wants one. She hasn't fought the narrative, hasn't explained, hasn't asked for forgiveness. It's as if she's chosen to live above it all, untouched, unapologetic, unreachable. Yet the irony is cruel. The very traits that once made her magnetic, control, precision, composure, are now the ones the world uses against her. Her image, once her armor, has become her prison. Still, not everyone is ready to condemn her. Some fans argue that the outrage says more about society than about Blake herself, that the internet can't stand women who refuse to play soft or small. Maybe she isn't a villain at all. Maybe she's just a mirror, reflecting our discomfort with powerful women who stop apologizing for it. Because for all the gossip and speculation, one truth remains. Blake Lively has never been irrelevant. Love her or hate her, she still commands attention. And in Hollywood, that's the only currency that truly matters. Whether her career rises again or quietly fades into curated silence will depend on what she does next, or more likely, what she chooses not to say. For now, she remains suspended between admiration and resentment, between the myth of the perfect woman and the reality of the flawed human behind it. The Golden Girl has fallen, but in Hollywood, even the fall can look cinematic. And maybe that's exactly how Blake Lively planned it.